So today we will be going over the slides for the Linux commands. So how can I install Linux? So there's a few options. You can flash image to USB and boot, dual booting, using a virtual machine, or some devices come with Linux already on it as default. That's definitely the easiest way. So here are a few of the most common commands. ls shows you the files in the directory you're in. cd, you can change to different directories. Make dir to make a new directory. Nano is an editor, and that's how you start it. Vim is also an option. Touch creates a empty file. Chmod changes permissions of a file. rm to remove a file, rmdir to remove a directory, or rm-r will also work. And then pwd prints the working directory, and I will show all these later on. So here are some command line tips. I will go over these in more depth during the demo. The man pages, it's manual for commands. So you would type, so let's say I want to know more about the ls command. I would type man and then ls, and it would show me all the options I can do with ls. And I'll demo this later. And sudo is to run a command as root, which hopefully you guys know from E0. Here's some keyboard shortcuts that are pretty helpful. The most common one that I use is Control-C or Control-Z, either kill the program or pause a running program. The rest, can be helpful here and there. So some helpful tools are text editors, so either Nano or Vim. If you would like to use Cscope, which is super helpful, I will demo it later. I would get comfortable with Vim because that's what you need for Cscope. And Cscope is a tool for browsing source code. And the man pages we already talked about, but definitely use the man pages to learn about commands and different options, because that can make your life easier. And that's where all the best information is. Ed, stream editor, it's a text processing utility. It allows you to perform different functions on files like searching, find, replace, insertion, deletion, things like that. This screenshot shows a bunch of different things that you can do with SED. So definitely take a look at this and play around with it. Here's just another example. So Vim Cscope, so Cscope, to start it, you do Cscope-R. The -R tells Cscope to search for symbols recursively. So open Vim in the directory where Cscope resides, and then you can search for text within the tree. And using Cscope, you can traverse the files that include the text that you searched for. This will all make sense when I show it. So grep, command line utility to find text. It's very useful for searching, matching patterns in a file. grep is short for global regular expression print. Not that you need to memorize that. It's just good to know. And so an example is you can pipe the message and look for text in this file. And again, I will show some things we can do with grep later on. And so another great one is awk. which is a text processing utility. So if I have a file and I want to see what's in the first line, or I wanted to print what's in the first line, I can use awk. And this screenshot shows a bunch of different examples of things you can print with awk. So definitely take a look at that. So now we will discuss some basic scripting in Bash. So a quick variable review. So $0, so this is a file path of the script, and $1 through 9 are the arguments. The first part I did not say out verbally because it's easier just to look at it than me verbally say it. And so then the the number sign is number of arguments. @ symbol is an array of arguments, and the question mark is process's exit code. And the more you use Bash, the more comfortable you will get with it. So some operations, so arithmetic operations obviously is math. The syntax looks a little different than what you're used to, with Python and stuff, but same concept: adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So relational operations are comparing, so it involves manipulating one or more kind of operation or selection. So basically you're comparing them. And this will be more clear once you start using it. So Boolean operations are just like you would think. They're and, or, not, and not. So they're conjunctions. And so not true, false, pretty explanatory. String operations, using strings. This is the syntax. Similar, so file, manipulating files. So these are different examples of things you can do. Cool. So when you're starting a Bash program, first thing is create a file or a program. So to do that, as we talked about, touch, create an empty one. So touch file.sh. And so for Bash, you need .sh at the end of the file name. And then something else you have to do really early on is, or before running it, is change the permissions with chmod. And a way to check the permissions is to do ls-l. And that will show you the read-write permissions that file currently has, and then you can change them with chmod. And again, I will demo this. To write a Bash script, so now we are writing one. You need to use, again, a text editor, either Vim or Nano, or whatever else you would like. And just like other programming languages, you need to include a shebang on the first line. And that for Bash, it's this one right here. So command line arguments, you can reference the arguments passed to your script with $i, where I is the index of the argument when the script is run. So below are some examples of running a script. So here are just some syntax examples of if statements in Bash. So, look pretty similar: if, then, and then else. And the biggest difference is needing the fee at the end. Yeah. So definitely take a look at this example. Loops, same thing. Looks pretty, it's the same concept, but the syntax is different. And again, when you're writing your first Bash script, like having these notes open and looking up syntax things, that's totally understandable. Bash might not be your best programming language. So functions in a Bash script, so they're declared with foo, with the brackets and then squiggly brackets. So you'll see an example of this when I show a Bash example. Echo. This statement, what is echoed? If you know the answer, please chat us on the Matrix channel. If not, I would play around with Echo and try and figure it out. So now I'm going to demo some Linux commands on the command line. So I'm going to create a directory with makedir. I'm going to name it Linux commands. And then I'm going to cd into that directory I just made. So Linux. And so if I do ls to list the files in the current directory, I see there's nothing. So we can use the touch command to create a file. So we can do touch, and then we can do let's see, bash example. And if we do ls again, we see it right there. And if we want to see what's in that, we do this fancy command called cat. And so, as you guys can probably see, I type a couple letters and then it magically fills. I do that by the tab. So that is very helpful. So as you can see, there's nothing in it. And we will add stuff to it later. And so another way to create a file is with a text editor. You can use Nano. I use Vim. So to make a file, I do Vim and then file, and I just want a text file, so I'm going to do .txt, and it will open this. And so with Vim, there's visual mode and there's editing mode, so insert mode. And so right now I can't really, like if I type, I can't do anything. In order to type something, I need to click I, insert, and then now I can type whatever. So I'm just going to throw some random stuff in here. Just for time purposes. I'm going to copy and paste it. So to get out of insert mode, I just clicked escape. And then I do colon and then W, Q, and that is save quit. If I didn't want to save this, I would just do colon Q. But I want to save this, so WQ. So now if I run this, okay, now if I cat file.txt, look at that. let's see. So let's say, I create this file, but I don't want it. So we see it right there. So I would do RM and then -e, and then it's gone. If I want to remove a directory, so let's say I have this, I don't want that anymore. I would do rm-dir. So, and then -e, or you can do rm-r and that will remove a directory as well. Either one. And now it's gone. And another really helpful command is, I use this a lot for different things, whether it's, oh, I'm lost, I don't know where I am, or whether it's I need a file path that's too long to type out. This magical command, pwd, will tell you it. So yes, that is very helpful. Will print the current directory you're in. Yes. Let's see. So of the commands I've already talked about, so ls, there's also ls-l, that will show you permission stuff, which will come up later on. Actually, we can do that right now. So chmod is how you change the permissions on your files. So chmod and then bash and then now we do an ls again and it has changed to green. That is how you know you have successfully changed the permissions. Not actually. The correct way to tell is see. So you see now it looks different. So another command that I have not shown people yet is man. Oh, excuse me. I need to specify which one I want. So let's take a look at ls. So the man pages will tell you all the different options that you can do. I would definitely suggest taking advantage of the man pages. They're great for learning commands and different options. Because, most commands, there's a lot of different options that you don't know about. And a lot of these options end up actually making your life easier. So definitely check them out. So to get out of this, Q. So another little tip. So let's say I want to see what my last command was. So let's just do so if I do bang bang, it will just run the command again and print it again. Sudo we have talked about. So if I need to run a command as root, I just type sudo. An example would be for installing stuff. So sudo dnf install. That's what I get. I'm not going to run it. It will cause some problems for me. And then, so CD we already talked about. But let's say I want to get back to the previous directory that I was in, I would do cd ... and now I'm in downloads again. But I want to be back in Linux command. Okay, so now we're back. So the awk command we talked about, or I mentioned earlier. So if I type awk, and then so this will print the third column. And so just a little refresher. The third column are the filers. So now I'm going to show a very basic bash script. So if we do ls, so bash, remember we created bash example.sh. So I did write something quickly in there. So let's take a look. So we can go into it. There's two ways. So I can either show you guys via cat, which will just print it out right here, but I'm going to go in with Vim. Formatting and colors will be easier to see. So as we talked about, the shebang has to be the first line. If this is not there, then your script will not run. So this is very basic, just showing a loop. So for I in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it's 1 to 5, it will print the number that it is on. Very simple. You could also put this in a function called foo, using the syntax that we talked about before. But for something this simple, I typically don't even use a function. I just do this. So cool, let's get out of here. So I didn't edit anything, so I don't need to save it. So I can just do Q instead of WQ, which is what we did before. Okay, so now that that is all set, and typically, you know, if you just created this file, then you'd have to do chmod, but we actually did that earlier, which is why it is green. So it's green. And then, you know, the better way. Yeah, so as we see, the read-write permissions are correct. So that means I can run it. So to do that, you do // and then there it is. Very basic. Yeah, so play around with bash, doing different things, using echo, calling different arguments, you know, try out some if statements. And again, the more you use it, the more comfortable you will get. So definitely practice.